which is with Heather kind of telling Gina that she can't put her personal issues and the things that she struggles with on her partner, Travis, because he is not her therapist. Now, I listened to this and I agreed and I disagreed. Yeah. I'm going to kind of give you my version of this and then kind of pick your brain, because Jason knows everything about me, everything that I'm feeling. I'm an emotional guy. I cried on my birthday. I was like, I'm 30. And like, Jason's like, I have a great day planned. It's like, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take a shower and I'm going to get it together. And then like 9 personalities, you know? So it's like, I want to share all of that with the person that I'm spending time with. And then, you know, like you have pain, you have things that come up. Like, you're not a perfect person. You've gone through shit, especially a woman with kids who we know she dealt with domestic violence on national television. Do you think that Heather's advice was fair or no?
So I kind of feel the same way that you do, where I could see where I get where she's coming from, and it can be really good advice, but I think it also isn't for everybody. And I don't think it was necessarily the best advice for Gina. And I'm sure we'll talk about it later, like when Gina and Travis talked about the advice that she gave and how they broke it down. But I would say, like, the advice that Heather was giving, I don't think was necessarily bad advice, because I get where she's coming from. I think her advice would have been great for a relationship that's new. Because let's say that Gina and Travis had just started dating and Gina was still kind of crying about her ex a lot. And if she was going to Travis about it all the time, I could see why Travis would be kind of annoyed. Like, I'm not trying to, like, I'm not your ex. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear about those problems all the time. Like, we're new, like, we're fresh. So I see what Heather means, where that could cause problems or whatever. But I think this advice wasn't really necessary for Gina, because as we see, especially later in this episode, Gina and Travis have been together for a while. They're very, very solid. And as you were talking about, like, Travis wants to know everything about Gina. He wants to be there for Gina. He doesn't want Gina to feel like a burden by calling him and talking about these things. And like you said, she went through a real trauma. I mean, these things that she went through with Matt are no joke. And she's going to have a slip up here and there when she's going through some things. So I get what Heather was coming from. I don't think she was trying to give bad advice, but I don't think it was the best advice for Gina.
You know what was so crazy is somebody posted on Instagram, like, what, Gina, you're triggered by this new Jen girl and her relationship because of the cheating, but you're not triggered by your ex who, the domestic violence situation, like filming a scene with him in your kitchen. How does that make sense? And I was like, oh, Gina girl, I don't know, but you got to answer that one, because that's a fair question, Gina. But also going to be like, that's the father of my children.
Exactly.
Gotta be here.
Exactly. And I think Gina in her heart has forgiven Matt for the things that he's put her through. And I think they've developed a really strong relationship as co-parents, despite being divorced. I think that they do that very well. And I think she just really loves what they've built. But I think at the same time, she still has a hard time getting over the things she went through. It's all very understandable. And I don't know if she has a therapist, but it's always great to have therapy, especially when you go through things like this. So if she's not looking into that, she definitely should, because I think everybody needs therapy. We all could use it. So hopefully she's getting the help she needs.
You know who I feel like uses the show as their therapist? And I feel like this person probably does not have a therapist, because she's just like, she doesn't need one. She tells everybody everything. Would be Tamra Judge. Did you see the part where she goes in the tent and then she continues to just like slam this Ryan guy, and she's like, listen, he screwed more married women from my gym. And Shannon's like, oh, and I love the classic, like, over the top housewife reaction. She's like, oh my God, this just puts a pit in my stomach. Does she know that this man is a whore? Like, you know, like this is how, like, they're looking at him. And I'm like, Tamara, you are messy as hell, girl. Have you noticed that all of the women are competing for her attention? Oh, like, this is kind of sick. This is Tamara's show.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you know what this is definitely giving? First off, all of the, housewife fans out there, especially the Orange County fans, you all better be thanking Tamra Judge, okay? Because this queen came back to the show and she came ready to work. She's messier than ever. She's calling everybody out. She's doing what honestly OC has needed for quite some time, and she's not afraid of anybody. And that kind of ties into what you're saying, how they're all kind of afraid of her a little bit. I kind of think what Tamra's experiencing right now, or what we're seeing, is exactly what Heather went through last season. I think when Heather came back, she was kind of on this mission to lead the cast in the show, because that's kind of what she was assigned to do, if you ask me. And I think all of the girls were kind of like intimidated by Heather a little bit. And now we're seeing that this season, because now Tamara's back, who's an even bigger force, you could argue, than Heather. And I think they're all kind of like figuring out what they think of Tamara. But also Tamara's interesting because not only is she coming back and doing what she does best as, you know, really an OG. I know she's not considered like technically an OG, but she really is at the end of the day.
Kind of, yeah.
She's been around forever. And so she's doing what she does best. But not only that, she also brought Jen. Like, Jen is Tamara's friend. So not only is Tamara shaking things up on her own, she's shaking things up by bringing this friend in who's the hot topic amongst these ladies. So you got to give props to Tamara. She did what needed to be done.
I'm just happy that Heather Dubrow got the cast stoned and we could chill out for 2 seconds. I was like, oh, thank you, Heather Dubrow.
Heather Dubrow is mother. I mean, she's literally mother. When she said in the episode, like, does anyone have a joint or who wants to smoke a joint? I cackled. I'm like, that's mother.
There she is. There she is. And, you know, there, of course, like, we know that they attempted to sleep in the tent, which, by the way, if I had $1 million villa, I would not be sleeping in the tent. But I want to go over to this situation for a second. Actually, it started here. But Jennifer ends up telling Ryan when she gets home about Tamara's attacks. But before she got home, she did kind of give him a heads up. And she's like, I don't want to give him the details because I don't want him to freak out. And I'm thinking, I don't want Eddie to beat this guy's ass. Like, you don't want Eddie to get the details, not Ryan. Like, there's probably, if he's out here sleeping with everybody's wife, there's probably a long list of husbands in the OC, like, that don't like this guy. I'm just guessing. Right? If you have that big of a reputation, they all go to the same places. They go to the quiet woman. They go to the, it's not my fucking plate, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, we see them in the same places. It's obviously a small community. So I'm just waiting. Like, if I hear, and I'm not one to promote violence or anything like that, but if I hear a story of like Ryan running into somebody's ex-husband, I'm like, I'm not going to be surprised when I hear the rest of that story, because this is like a little crazy. You can't just go sleep with everybody's wife.
I know. No, it's seriously crazy, but I hate to say it. Like, if his reputation really is as bad as they're making it out to be, dude, you signed up to be on the show, and Jen signed up to be on the show as well. Like, they must have known that this was going to be brought up. I'm sure they're probably disappointed in Tamara being the one who's like continuously bringing it up. And like, you know, now we're seeing her filming one-on-ones with Eddie about it. And like, Tamara's really bringing this out on the show. And I'm sure Jen and Ryan are a little disappointed by that, just given the fact that they seem to really have a good friendship with Tamara and Eddie. So that is very disappointing. But at the same time, I mean, listen, if your reputation really is known as a serial cheater, I mean, it's not just like you cheated once, like you continuously cheat on people. Like, that's really, really bad. So you must have known that was going to come out on the show. Like, come on.
And also, I would never get into a relationship with somebody who's so, and I get it, like, I feel so bad. I'm looking at Jen and she seems so sweet. She's like, this is like one of those quintessential moments of like, whether it's the woman trying to fix the man trying to fix the woman, but it's like, oh my God, you don't see the good in him. Like, I see another side. I know he has this past, but he would never do that to me. And I'm like over here, like, no, girl, listen to Heather Dubrow, because when Heather said, when someone shows you who they are or tells you who they are, you have to listen. It's like, no, he's telling you, I have never, not like I cheated once, I have never been faithful in a relationship ever.
Ooh.
Like, that's bad, Jen.
It's bad. I honestly, I mean, it's so hard because like, it's very obvious that Jen really fell for Ryan, which is amazing. But like, I feel bad. Even like in her housewife confessional, she's admitting, she's like, you know, I do worry sometimes. And I am concerned that he might cheat one day. I mean, girl, I would love to get your opinion on this, because like, I'm single, so I don't really have these issues. But like, wouldn't you argue, like, if you were worried, like if you were even contemplating day in and day out that Jason could potentially cheat on you, wouldn't you like consider that a huge red flag and like proceed with caution when it comes to a relationship?
Yeah, like I wouldn't be able to be in a relationship like that. You know, even when Jason and I worked in West Hollywood and Jason worked at Pump and he was around like all of these people, like Lisa hires like some of the most pretty people to run these restaurants, and like Jason managing them. And like, if I didn't trust him, I would not have been able to be like, oh my God, that's great. You're in the middle of Boys Town 6 days a week and you're not getting home till 3 o'clock at night. No. I could not trust that. If I didn't trust, there's no way. I just could not live my life like that. I would move on.
Yeah, me
I really
too. Me too. And so I do worry for her. It's like, who wants to get into a relationship with someone who's known as a serial cheater? I mean, like, I kind of agree with what they were saying in the episode last night. I'm sure Ryan might be a really cool guy, maybe. I mean, we really don't know much about him yet, but